Pure Xbox Live's Major Nelson. Welcome to the podcast. Jeff, what show is this?
The episode number at the beep will be 615. Boop.
Nobody knows what that reference is, but that's fine. We'll
You used to have to call up a number to find what time it was when the power went out at your house.
And sitting across from you is not Laura.
Oh, hi.
Laura's not here, but instead we have...
I'm really excited right now. I'm like a fan.
Craig, I got to tell you,
in my moment, like this is awesome. Like it's just
Don't
so.
Even,
it's,
don't.
No, I
go
listen.
on. No, please go on.
I'm normally in my car listening to you guys and Laura.
I'm here with Craig Duncan. He is the head of Rare.
Yes,
and it's weird. I was out in Rare last week. That's why we didn't have a show, because Craig and his team were hosting. We talked about Sea of Thieves. We'll talk about that in a minute. And while we're sitting in his beautiful conference room on the Rare campus, which is stunning, he's like, "Oh, okay, so we're gonna get together next week to do the podcast." I'm like, "Well, we're here," and I was anyway. So here we are.
You came back to tell me, in person, all about your visit.
Craig, so I was over there last week. Craig, you're here this week. Why are you here this week? You got some business meetings, right?
Yeah, a ton of business meetings, and then I'm up to San Fran to do some more press tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
So,
for Sea of Thieves.
Well,
I got to tell you, you guys had was it the closed beta a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, everything's kind of a blurry bubble at the moment.
Right.
So if it involves Rare and Pirates, I know what's going on. If it involves anything else the world, I have no idea what's going on right now. So yeah, we did.
Don't look now that you're in the US. Don't look at politics over here.
Yeah,
so.
I try and avoid that at all costs. We had a closed beta, ton of learnings. Got more people played for longer, gave us loads of great feedback, and now we've sort of consolidated. And now we've announced we're going to do some more scale testing.
Yep.
So what does that mean?
So it's a scale test is we kind of. Our game, I mean, the fun part of our game is the art and the creativity and the, how beautiful it is and how much fun people have. The nuts and bolts and the plumbing behind it.
Making sure people can do that.
We have a lot of complicated servers that do some really interesting stuff around matchmaking and things like entitlements and purchasing of voyages and rewards and all those things. And just imagine, like, tens and hundreds of thousands of players all hitting those things at the same time.
Scale testing,
it's exactly what we can't simulate in the studio, and we can do technical sort of synthetic versions of that, but actually having, a ton of real players play in
real matches
in a condensed period of time, like really just show us, and it's all about just proving and hardening the game for launch.
Yeah,
so that's what we're trying to do.
If people are listening to you speak right now, like when this podcast first hits, which February 16th.
Yep.
It's going on right now. This is a much more sort of concise burst type of test.
Yeah, I mean, we learned a lot in the closed beta. We know some people had some entitlement issues, and we fixed that. We got that fixed in a couple of days, and we extended the closed beta by 2 days, so we ended up running 7 days. And I think we've seen...
But you had a lot of great data you collected, right?
Huge amount of great data, and we've seen sort of day-on-day growth across that beta. What we're trying to do with the scale test is really condense it down so it's like 48 hours. And it's really about anyone that was in the betas got access to it. Anyone that is in the Xbox Insider programs got access to it. Any of our Rare Sea of Thieves insiders. So we just really want everyone to just come and hit the game at the same time.
Because we see this nowadays and we've seen this over the past 10 years. You've been in the games industry for a long time. You used to work at Codemasters and whatnot. But we've seen this over the past 10 or 12 years, whereas games obviously online becomes important. That first, the game launches on Tuesday and people are jamming their A button to join matchmaking and they can't. And then the Wednesday comes and it gets a little better. Thursday comes. Hopefully by Friday, by the time the first weekend hits, things are fine because it is difficult to do that scale testing.
Yeah, and you're trying to kind of replicate what's going to happen day one before day one.
Right.
And I know it might seem odd to say, hey, come in and play Sea of Thieves, and it's not like the message, and there's a really great blog post the team's written on seaofthieves.com.
We'll link to that, yeah.
It's been amplified, through all the Xbox channel. I think Larry tweeted it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, that explains what we're trying to do, and it's really like the support we get from people just helping us out to do this is it's so helpful to us, but the sort of the public service announcement is like, hey, it might go down and we might have some issues and matchmaking like might fall over, and it's kind of that's what we're trying to do.
That's what a beta is. What beta, as you guys like to say.
We're kind of trying to break the game with the scale test, because if we know where it breaks, we know what
to fix.
We've got to harden up.
You know what to fix
for launch. Yeah, that's it.
So if you were already, if you were in the closed beta, or you're an Xbox Insider,
yep, you can download the game and play.
And you should do that now, because it's only for 48 hours
that's
or less at this point.
Now, if I have, just for those of you, just to help you out, if you participated before and you've already got those bits on your hard drive, they'll update.
Yes, we push an update out literally this morning, UK time.
Right. So as we record this, if you want to, even if you're, I'm sure you guys will tweet this out. Hey, as a reminder, go update it. But you should be all set. Now, what's great is, and I want to point this out, is you guys are Xbox Play Anywhere.
We are.
So that means if you want to play on PC, you can do that. And I did that when I was over there.
Yeah, and the magic of Xbox Play Anywhere is like once you have that game entitlement, like I was playing on my Surface Book here with people playing back in the studio on console.
Right.
And so if I'm at home in my living room, I can fire it up on my X. If I'm traveling, I can go play it on my Surface Book. Like it's really how you want to play when you want to play, and with your friends on any platform.
And this game, if you don't know, I mean, you've probably read a lot. This week, the press embargo. You hosted press a few weeks ago when the press embargo lifted this week, so a lot of people have been talking about it. But the game is beautiful. Talk about some of the press and what you saw, and do some recap for folks that maybe missed it or just
it was great. It was great to kind of wake up yesterday morning, Seattle time, and just wake up to, I think the press all hit at kind of, I guess, mid-afternoon UK time. I think maybe 6 a.m. US time, and generally, like what was awesome to read was we invited a ton of press into the studio. They played the game, so the first thing is just reading their stories. And yeah, I know you've both played. I watched you in the stream.
I'm sorry about that.
And Sea of Thieves at its heart is you having these awesome adventures every time you play the game, and listening to press recount the stories that they had in the studio when they played is the first moment. And then really the second thing for me were those, the articles that really, really got it and just said like, hey, this is a completely different type of multiplayer game. And this is you're going to feel things when playing Sea of Thieves that you've not experienced in any other game before.
Like seasickness, but like in a good way. So I'm actually reading one of those articles right now from The Verge. Sea of Thieves is huge fun, and just what the Xbox One needs. Tom Warren, Gooner, says it, he calls him like he sees him, so it was great to see that. Speaking of football, you're missing Liverpool right now, so you really do. They're up 2-0. So just throwing it out there in the Champions League. Sorry, Larry. It's a bigger sacrifice than Larry, I think, really realizes.
I appreciate it.
Missing this match. So for those who didn't see these articles, and I'll link out to a couple of them in the show notes, what did you show the press?
Yeah, so we... And the very short version of that. So we have our closed beta, which is a build we put out that most people played, and we've seen millions of hours of people streaming.
And to be clear, if you played that, it was nowhere near feature complete.
Yeah, we were very intentionally saying, hey, we want people to come in and play so we can test scale.
Right.
And we wanted to find issues. So it wasn't really about showing new features that weren't ready yet. And we have a pioneer, kind of like what some studios call like public test realm. So we have a number of pioneers which are from our community that we do flight features that aren't quite done yet.
That aren't announced.
That aren't announced yet. Right. And that's all under NDA. And we do that to do some scale testing, although not as big as we do in a beta. And then within our studio, we've got our kind of live development build, which will have things toggled on and off that we're making. So we showed the press some of the stuff that was in that build. So things like skeleton thwarts, things like some of the merchant quests, some of the bounty quests. So stuff that people hadn't played.
Did they have the Kraken?
We showed a video of the Kraken.
Have you seen this video?
No, I haven't.
I can show you the Kraken video.
Oh my lord, it's impressive.
And what's interesting about that is if you take something specifically like the Kraken, we show concept art and stuff from very early on, and we've always talked about it being a part of Sea of Thieves. Like, we're not sure how we're going to release that to players yet. Like, do we put it in a launch trailer? Do we run a feature in the studio about Krakens and the development of it? Or do we just launch the game and let players like experience it in the world in the way we want it to be as an emergent threat. And this is always the interesting thing, that we've had a very open, transparent development approach where we've been talking about the things we're working on and what we're trying to do, and really the vision of Sea of Thieves. But it's about just layering on features, getting people to understand the game, adding things to it, and then really trying to build that crescendo to launch. So to your point, Larry, like the closed beta had one of 3 trading companies. Each of those 3 trading companies is a different way to play Sea of Thieves.
Right.
You can be ferrying cargo for the merchants, which means you've got to protect the cargo, and it's a very sort of protective, exploratory.
It's a different way to play the game.
Absolutely.
You're not digging treasure up. That's another way to play the game.
Which is the pirate fantasy of like, hey, I'm going to go and explore and solve riddles. Or you've got the Order of Souls, which is this magical force that are trying to harness power of dead skeleton ex-pirates so you're going out and doing these bounty quests to defeat these skeletons, to bring their skulls back, to gain you reputation for the Order of Souls. So really, it's about progressing with all of those trading companies in these different ways to play to become a pirate legend. Like, so we showed the press and some of the assets for the first time came out in those stories about, what does it mean to become a pirate legend? And you get access to a pirate hideout, and what is that? And we've not told anyone where that is,
right?
Or
it's
how
mysterious.
you access it.
Right.
But
I don't even know.
Your goal as a player is to become that pirate legend.
Nice.
It's now there's some things I've noticed. I was playing in a build this week that I guess that have been announced, which is you just added a bunch of wildlife.
Yeah,
which really, Jeff, I know.
No, I haven't gotten to see this.
I mean, I was like, I love booting it up because I'll be on my Surface or on my home PC, and I'll boot it up. All of a sudden, there's fish. Hey, there's a parrot. Hey, there's seagull. There's snake. There's just all this. It's just all of a sudden the world comes alive. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, and game development, we've been obviously building the game live with real players for a year, which has been great.
No. You guys have been building it for a long time, because Jeff and I remember when we played it for the first time when it was like stick figures.
Yeah,
years
right?
ago. Yeah.
Right.
The super early prototype, and we'll release that video one day because that's awesome in itself. But we've been running our tech alpha program for a year, and so I think back in December last. Where are we now? 2018. December 2016.
Sure.
We invited our first 1,000 people to come and play Sea of Thieves,
right.
and then we've scaled it from there. But the awesome thing about that is you're kind of building and validating what we're doing as we're making the game.
Yeah.
But you always get this moment close to launch, close to day one, which is all this nice kind of polished stuff comes together, like life in the world, like ambience. The audio team are tuning and adding all those, like just those little touches, and the art team are making the outposts, feel more alive, and like all that kind of just polish. But then for us, that will continue beyond day one.
I want to ask you about that, because you've made a lot of video games. Can you just go over some of the top 3 or 4 that you've made?
Yeah, so I think I count it like I've been doing this for 15 years now in games, and I ran some software companies before that. But yeah, I was 5 years at Codemasters. We did a ton of stuff. Overlord, Jericho,
the Overlord,
the Dirt and Grid series.
But what I want to talk about is you did all these games, and developing the game you're doing for Sea of Thieves, the way Rare and a lot of development houses are doing now, is very different now than those days, right?
Yeah,
because it's almost collaborative, isn't it?
It is, and the way I like to talk about it is I spent 12 before we started Sea of Thieves. I spent 12 years learning how to make video games, and then when we started Sea of Thieves, I had to learn how to make video games all again.
Right.
Because the kind of game we're making, the way we're working with our players, Sea of Thieves, yes, it's a pirate game, but it's also a social game that's about you and your friends having adventures and things like soft skills and how players interact with each other, and voice and multiplayer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, we're doing so many new things in Sea of Thieves. Like, as a game maker, it's super inspiring and creative, but you're also learning everything again for the first time.
But it's about, I mean, like I say, in the old days of development, you guys would come up with a game, you develop it, get your asset, everything goes, you put it to a disc, you ship it, and you may do an update or content update or DLC later on. But this is just miles ahead of the way you're doing it now, which is you guys are testing things a year before.
Yeah.
And 2 years before, and you're just tweaking.
It's that difference between, I think before and the way Rare always used to make games is they'd go squirrel away, they'd close the gates, it'd be the secretive studio, they'd spend 3 years making something, 2 years
and then surprise, and then surprise and delight.
Yeah, surprise and delight, game comes out, maybe it's successful, maybe it's not, maybe people like it, but it's really the vision holders version of whatever that game is.
Right.
Whereas now, I would imagine if we had our community sitting here around this table, I'd imagine they feel as much a part and an owner of Sea of Thieves as I do. Like, because they've been along that journey with us, and they've seen what we're trying to do, and they've helped us all the way along the journey.
Something I've seen that you guys have done that I think is very, very interesting, very cool is not just acknowledge that the community has helped build this, but actually putting some of the more influential people into the game. And one of the features that I saw, or one of the little Easter eggs, if you will, involved Griffin McElroy from Polygon. So I don't know if you all know Griffin's a great guy, writer for Polygon, does a lot of podcasting stuff, part of my brother and me. And he really latched on to last year at E3, the way you gain health.
Yep.
And bananas are that power up, but the way you eat it is, I would love to know actually how that came about.
Yeah, and that took Griffin and like, he's a hilarious guy, and I think this sort of showed through in the meme that won E3 that year, which was him eating a banana with the skin on.
Stem first.
And like, I showed it in the all hands to the rare team. I was like, look what we've done. And then there were just a load of hashtags about bananas and eating the skin on bananas and loads of fun stuff. But yeah, the origin story of that was, you'll notice in Sea of Thieves, like, there's not a lot of UI. Like, we try and just immerse you in that pirate experience.
By the way, thank God. Because I can take amazing screenshots of this world.
Yeah,
and thank you for that.
We don't want to break the kind of the immersion of like, hey, I'm playing a game, I'm in this pirate world, I'm not just playing UI. So we only ever pop a health bar when you're hurt.
Right.
And then, it's like, okay,
when you need it, when you need to know what's going on. Otherwise you're
fine. We want you to have a way of getting your health back. So we thought, we'll just eat something in the world. So it used to be coconuts.
Mm.
So the very first version of that was a coconut.
Mm-hmm.
And our audio team, Larry, who you spent some time with last week,
geniuses.
They put in a sound of someone eating a coconut. And it kind of sounded like someone eating a brick, or like eating something that
because what does that sound like?
That would kind of break all your teeth and not be very good. And we're reviewing the game up to E3, and it's the first time we'd put the adventures in, and we're like, that coconut thing's like a bit weird, and it sounds bad. So let's switch out with a banana. And literally, like most game dev things, this change goes in like a week and a half before E3.
Sure.
And it's just, okay, that's it. It gives you health back. Great.
Banana, great. Yeah, sounds good.
We'll go fix that later. Bananas in the world, there's been bananas in rare games before. And
made perfect sense.
Yeah, I think it was Topher, our gameplay engineer, was just like, okay, I've got it in, it's all working. It kind of used the
Here's
same...
an old banana asset from a Donkey Kong game. Let's use
Not quite that. But it was very much like, hey, let's get the sound right, let's use the asset, and then we'll go with it. And then obviously Griffin just did the whole like, hey, this is what of all the things we learned from Sea of Thieves, which was most of the press were going, hey, we played Sea of Thieves, it's awesome, here's what we learned. He literally just focused on that. What I've learned from playing Sea of Thieves is this is how you eat bananas, and he recorded himself doing it live.
I'll link out to that. It's worth watching.
Yeah, and it just became a thing. And now and again, Sea of Thieves is a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. We want players to have fun. You can fire yourself out of a cannon. You can duel with a shark underwater. You can we liberally play with. It's a video game, and we want players
lean into it.
The entire pirate life minus the scurvy.
Yeah, it's the romantic, most fun, fantastical pirate life you can imagine. And then once the banana thing became a thing, we just left it in and.
So now there's this, and I'll link out to this. So this was noticed, which is Griffin, a skeleton that's found eating a banana labeled Griffin somewhere in the world.
Someone's etched Griffin onto
I've played a lot of the game. I have not found the Major Nelson reference yet.
Right. Okay.
I'm just.
One of the things really early on we've been really passionate about is Sea of Thieves as a fantastical world it's a canvas for players to put a mark on the world.
Right.
So my answer to that question would be like, when you put a mark on the world, we'll recognize that.
I see.
It's really about like, we don't have a Blackbeard or we don't have a Black Pearl, but we do want players' deeds to influence the world, like in real life. So we can have a tavern named after a legendary pirate.
Sure.
Or we can have an area of the world named after a crew.
It fits the narrative.
Yeah, and as a service-based game, that's the kind of thing we can keep adding to.
Now I'm going to give this. I was out there at Rare last week, and as I said earlier, it was the most beautiful campus I've ever been on. I have been to game developers around the world.
I told you.
You told me, but I mean, I have been to game developers in office parks in Southern California, and they don't come anything. I mean, they're fine and they do great work down there. But yours is like, it's a magical fairyland out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful campus. Our facilities team doing an amazing job there, and Rare's just this creative, landlocked campus in the middle of the English countryside that has no water nearby, which is
there's a little pond, there's a little bubbler in the back. Now I would like to point something out, Jeff, and I don't think you know this, and the listeners certainly know this, but we were out at Rare last week working on some videos for launch, and I don't know, Jeff, you and I were talking in the production room there, and you made it very clear to the staff and everybody, there's no R. There is no pirate R. You can't say that around the studio because it's too much of a trope.
Yeah.
Right. You just people expect that, and you guys, and that's true. It's a fresh take on pirating from what I've seen.
When you and I've told the origin story of Sea of Thieves before, and got on record, so I won't kind of repeat that. But when you think of pirates, you can be anywhere from Black Sails, which I love and would advise everyone to go watch Black Sails. Super dark, super violent. Sea of Thieves isn't that.
Right.
And it's not, we have a term in the UK, we'll see if this carries, called party bag pirates. So if
party bag pirates.
So if you think about a kid's party, you might have a 7-year-old kid and he'd invite all his friends round. And in the UK, when kids have parties, you give them a bag.
Okay.
And you can buy these bags from kind of shops, and
what's in the bag?
Sweets, maybe
I see.
A yo-yo, some balloons.
I see.
It's party favors, I think, is what we would call them here. Yeah.
Party bag pirate.
But pirates.
It's my new gamer tag.
Pirates is a popular theme,
sure,
particularly for young kids.
Sure, of course.
And you've all seen those pirates, which sort of Jolly Roger type pirate, cartoon. So you've got that at one end, and then you've got hyper violent pirates where murder,
anything goes,
keel hauling,
all that stuff. Yeah.
And then various things in the middle, Disney and Pirates of the Caribbean and Monkey Island and Goonies and all this Treasure Island, all this awesome stuff. And trying to have a Sea of Thieves specific flavor on that. But the voice thing is kind of interesting because when you get Talk Like a Pirate Day, or you see adverts of pirates selling product, they always do this kind of just sort of fake pirate voice thing. And we just didn't that. To us was going to party bag. If it was a pirate
got it.
Turning up at a kid's party,
that's what they would do.
That's what they do.
And you're not that.
We're not that. But what was awesome when everyone was streaming in the closed beta was actually the amount of people that were dressed up,
doing that,
role playing as pirates was amazing. So we want players to express themselves the way they want to, but you won't see an R pirate in the game come up and chat to you as a player.
I'm very curious to see. This is going to be the first game where I'm glad that there's proximity chat. One, because you're going to be playing with strangers and you have to communicate. It's absolutely essential to how you play the game. You are the UI. You were mentioning there's no UI in the game. It's like your mini map is the person that's downstairs looking at the map, and if you're not communicating, then it's going to be a hard time. But I'm curious. I'm expecting to run into some people that are in character for their
and we've seen it, and we always kind of knew. It's back to what I said before, which is I think Sea of Thieves is a great canvas for you to have these pirate adventures with your friends, and it's really how creative and how much of your sense of fun and childhood play do you want to give out in how creative you want to be in that. And
I think that's why it was so popular on streaming services like Mixer and Twitch during the closed beta, is because people were the game doesn't obviously this is not the final version of the game, but it didn't hold your hand. And watching as people for the first time discovered that they could launch themselves out of a cannon, or they could just any of the things they could do. It was just like there was like childlike glee, is I guess how.
And there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but you and I were talking when I was out at your studio. There's a lot of things that are coming up in the game that you're going to be able to do with some of the wildlife to help you protect your treasure. You were telling me about that.
Yeah.
So, which is, again, it's stuff that you don't think about, or you want to let people. You want that serendipitous discovery.
Yeah. Sense of discovery was really important from that very, very first early prototype we had, which was, like you say, it was kind of. Programmer art, like it was very just block out design.
Figure it out, yeah.
But it was like, can we make sailing a ship fun?
Right.
And then everything we've done in the game, like, can we make it fun socially?
I remember when I played that, I don't know if you remember Jeff and I coming up to that conference when we played it for the first time. And I said, wouldn't it be great if you had sharks in here?
Yeah.
And there were so many. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember one of us, and I want to say it was me, that you wanted to captain it. It's a Larry thing.
Hey.
And then I went up to the crow's nest because you if you're captaining, yes, you get to hold the wheel. No, you cannot see where you're going because there's sails in the way and you need the rest of your team. So I was up there and I jumped and I somehow jumped off and I fell into the water. And then that's when we saw, and there was a shark chasing me. Right. And it was quite frightening. It's
so there's a funny shark story. I don't know if I've told you this. So there were a lot of sharks in the closed beta. It felt like every time I got in the water, I was getting chomped on. But
you're giving me a look like we can push that shark slider way up if we need to.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were playing. It was me, and I don't think you were with us, Jeffrey, but we were playing with Brian Gerard from 343. Do you know Brian?
Yeah. Yep.
And you know Brian.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. He's sketch on Twitter. Let's put a link in there because we were playing and he hadn't played, so we were showing him how to play and we're going through the thing. And we got the first quest and we got the first mission. We had to pull up to this island and we had to jump in. And whoever was up in the crow's nest says, "Oh, there's some sharks down there." And you heard Brian over the headset go, "What?" And long story short, he has a massive shark phobia and wouldn't get in the water.
Right.
Even with video game sharks, he would not get off the ship to swim to the... So I finally showed him. I said, "Well, we can shoot you over there." He's like, "Yeah, but I got to swim back." I said, "Yeah, you do." So it was just this funny moment where I didn't realize he had a shark phobia.
And again, it's all those social moments. I mean, the fact that the game's first person, the fact that someone else, like when you're being chased by a shark, like someone else is going, Larry, there's a shark behind you.
And they're trying to snipe them or shoot them or take care of them.
Or when you're at the wheel, someone having to be at the prow of the ship or up on the crow's nest kind of saying, "Hey, there's reefs or there's islands," or like just all of those reasons to socially communicate. And I was having this conversation earlier actually with Matt Booty and I think you could almost put some kind of teamwork or leadership simulator in Sea of Thieves, because if people can operate as a good crew, chances are they probably be a pretty effective team at whatever they go and do.
Fair point.
You've got a side gig here, which is like Sea of Thieves, the team building offsite.
Actually, I'm sure the team over at Office is we're going to build it into the Outlook.
And it's just this notion of like people need to work together and communicate and help each other and look out for each other, and all these inherently human values, like how you communicate, how you watch each other's backs, how you work together, like, and doing that will result in you achieving things as a team.
Right. Where I think Sea of Thieves is different and more collaborative in that way is a lot of games, like they encourage you, I would say, to operate as a team because you get rewards, you level up faster, whatever it might be, by not being a terrible person. But it doesn't really work that way. There's no benefit really to lone wolfing it or to it's more fun, and you're going to be more successful if you all sort of play these roles.
That's it. And you can do the lone wolf thing. And you can take a ship out on your own. But and it's actually interesting where I think, like you mentioned, proximity chat. Then like sneaking onto a ship, listening to a crew outline their plans. And then deciding what to do. I think it's just a very different way of playing. Yeah.
But there's no incentive to like leave your teammates behind or anything like that, because you're going to split the treasure, and I really love like the dynamic that we've had. I'm a real cartographer. I'm getting to live out my inner cartography.
And you do see people kind of just adopt certain roles, and I like, again, what it says to me, a personality, like I'll quite happily go down in the bottom of the ship and repair and bail water and like, hey, I'll keep this thing afloat. Like that's what I'll do. While someone else will be like, no, I'm on the cannons. I'm I'm all over.
I want to shoot things and drive places. Yeah, it's about part of being the team. Now we do need to have you. We'd love to have you part of our team when we stream again, Craig. We just got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to take too much time because I know you have a busy time over here, but I would let you know. You talked about the stress test that's happening this weekend. If you participate, if you're listening to this show after and you participated, thank you.
Absolutely.
If you're listening to it now, then that would be then or if you're listening before, then we'd love to have you participate. But another part of Sea of Thieves is you're part of the Game Pass program.
We are.
That's exciting.
It is, and Sea of Thieves has done a lot of firsts, and I like, as a game creator and as a person in Microsoft Studios, like that's what we do. We do new things. We do kind of bold and interesting things. And for us, Sea of Thieves, like the more people that play Sea of Thieves, like that is awesome.
Yeah.
Like the more people we can have play Sea of Thieves and
have those moments.
Yeah, and what I love about Game Pass is it's super valued. Like you can't question the value of it, but I love the idea that someone that's signed up to Game Pass that maybe Sea of Thieves isn't on their radar.
They're gonna download it and try it.
And we'll go, hey, like here's Sea of Thieves, and they'll try it, and that's where like our belief in our game is like people will try it, like they'll enjoy it, they'll have a great time, maybe they'll make some friends, and maybe that'll encourage people to play more.
Yeah.
And I think that's great for Sea of Thieves, and it's great for gamers. And as you mentioned before, the Xbox Play Anywhere, like if you subscribe to Game Pass, you can download and play the PC version as well. So
I love firing up the PC version. I've got my gaming rig at home, and I just sit there. I came in, and my wife walked into my office. She's like, "What are you playing?" Sea of Thieves. She's a big fan of the game. She doesn't play games. But she wanted me to show her the water, and I was talking. By the way, I'm really bummed when I came over. I didn't get to meet whoever your hydro artists are, your water artists, because those people are geniuses.
It's a combined effort of a lot of people across tech art, rendering.
You do know that it has the best water I've ever seen, that most people have ever seen in a video game.
And we keep it, and it's lovely to hear that. I think what's also awesome about it, just to pile kudos onto the team that do an amazing work, like it's also synchronized over the servers and the clients as well.
Sure.
So if you think about the complexity of you guys are on a ship, I'm on a ship, where those ships are relative to each other in terms of water height.
Right.
Like you remember we showed in the E3 video, there was a great big ship riding the wave, there's a lightning hit it. Like that was just like, that's the water and the weather and everything all acting dynamic and realistic.
But in concert.
In concert with everything else that's going on in that game.
Because you can do that in a single-player experience, and it's certainly a wonderful moment, but when you and I and maybe two other boats are having the same experience at the same time, that's significantly more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just making sure that, where, like, if you're in the water or your ship's at a certain point in the wave, like, where everything is in the world, because if you shot a cannon and the ship wasn't really there, and the water wasn't really at that height, like, it would break the illusion really quickly.
Right.
So the complexity, like the water's almost a character in the game.
I was just about to say that, yeah. Because it really, I mean, you can be in the same place multiple times, and sometimes it's clear and easy to see, and it's almost like relaxing.
Well, that's relative to your. I found, I didn't realize it's relative to where you are on the map.
Yeah.
The more northern you're on the map, the water is cloudier and more like northern Atlantic or northern Pacific.
Yeah, we've got an area called the Wilds, which is very kind of craggy and the water's darker and should feel like
cold.
It should feel
dangerous.
like an area that's dangerous.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And whereas the Blue Sea of Plenty, which is around, I think we've got an outpost called Golden Sands Outpost, which sounds like a holiday resort. And,
right.
And you can sit in there, and that's the way it feels. And it's just getting that variety in there. Whereas if you're out in the deep and you get a storm come in, like, well, look out.
And then there's the other one, which is if you haven't done this, I recommend it. Kind of go to the edge of the map.
Yeah.
See what happens there.
I wonder what Kyrie Irving has to say.
You go to the edge of the map and you'll see that. Yes, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
And even Robin showed you one of the instruments we used to do one of the
that's
sound
right.
effects.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I got to play with one. That's the only instrument. You'll have to see the video, and I'll let you know when it's out. That's one of the only instruments I could ever play. I'm not a musical person.
The hurdy-gurdy?
Nope. Just not even that.
All right.
So we'll stay tuned for that anyway. Well, Craig, I don't know if you can stay on for a little bit. We got a little bit of news headlines to go through. You're welcome to sit around, and Jeff's going to do that. We'll sprinkle in some more Sea of Thieves action. What are you playing otherwise? You really haven't played much, right?
No, I've been traveling a bit and just trying to support the studio as much. I powered up Switch before I came over,
right,
and downloaded Mario Rabbids, which I played
one of my absolute favorite games of last year.
It's great. It's kind of like mini XCOM, but with charm and delight. So that was fun. I downloaded FIFA 18 and playing that on the Switch.
Yeah. Right.
And
did you finish Mario Odyssey or play it?
No, I'm on the icy level, so.
That's before New Donk City, right?
No, I've done New Donk City.
Okay. Enough said after that, right?
Yeah, I've done the water one. Yeah. I think I've just rocked up at an ice level.
Okay.
I think if I've not picked it up for a while, but
yeah.
So like playing the Switch a bit. What else have we been playing? A lot of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, well, of course.
Tons of Sea of Thieves.
Anyway, so Jeff, why don't you go over the headlines? We'll wrap things up here. As I said, Laura's out, so we don't have to name the game. We'll get that whenever she decides to return.
Sure.
Which is always a mystery.
So the first news bit in the 55th minute, Liverpool's now up 3-0 at
awesome.
Porto.
I'm so glad I came now.
No, I'm Sadio Mane with the second goal. Something interesting for racing fans, for Forza fans specifically, who think they're really good, is the team has just announced at Turn 10 the Forza Racing Championship 2018. So
they call it the RC, right?
They do.
And I get
Forza
disappointed every time I see that because I want it to be Forza radio controlled, like
RC Forza RC Pro Am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have the rare guy in the room. Let's not start any rumors here. But yeah, so basically, if you think you're good, you're going to be able to sign up for this. You can do that at ForzaRC.com. I will go ahead and link out to that. But the regular season is going to be kicking off in April, and there is money to be won.
Real money.
Real cash money. Enough to afford even maybe some of the cars in the game.
That's right.
Although maybe not that Lamborghini Huracan, because that thing's that's crazy. So this is a game that looked really exciting, really interesting during E3 last year, which is almost here, which is Deep Rock Galactic. So this was sort of
that's the miner game, right?
It was the mining game with the dwarves.
I was just going to say dwarfs.
Yeah. And so they're mining and they're underground. There's like danger. And this is actually also an Xbox Play Anywhere game. So you'll be able to play on PC, on Windows 10 or on Xbox One. And that is going to be arriving as part of Xbox Game Preview later this month. So looking forward to that one. It's Valentine's Day, by the way. Thank you. You're wearing red. Week. I'm wearing a little bit of red.
I have a Sea
of Thieves. That is a great shirt.
You gave me one of those, and I forgot to wear it. And I feel terrible. I know.
Not wearing any red.
I know. Well, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day in my family.
Well, that's very romantic.
Well, I'm here in Seattle for Valentine's
Day. Yeah, that's right.
So we should probably cut that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, for when you get back, something that we tend to talk about during Valentine's Day is great couch co-op games, games that you can play with your loved ones. And so there's actually a sale on many of those games. Do you have a favorite couch co-op game that's great for
I hope Lovers in a Dangerous Space time.
That is my favorite one, and it is.
Yes.
It is on sale. Definitely worth getting. It's 50% off right now, and definitely have a good time with that. Up to 4 people, but you can beat it with as few as 2. Overcooked, which if you want to get in an argument with your loved one, I highly recommend Overcooked.
Yep. Yeah.
I didn't realize what a kitchen nightmare I was until I started playing that. But a number of other games that are great or involve love as a storyline in some way, like Firewatch, Guacamelee, Guacamelee was so good. Gone Home, Castle Crashers is a great one. So anyway, I'll link out. There's quite a few of these games. And I realize you're not hearing this on Valentine's Day, but the sale goes on until the 19th.
Yes.
So you should be in that safe zone.
So you can pick up a few games before you head out into the oceans for Sea Thieves.
Exactly.
Is there
something to keep?
Is there a name of the ocean that's there, like the map, the world? Do you have a name for it?
Yeah, so we have 3 zones.
Okay.
So one's called the Wilds, one's called the Blue Sea of Plenty, and the other, I think our dev version, I'm going to get this wrong now, is called like the White Sea or the Wild Sea.
Something.
It's a third kind of biome is a way to think about it, like different island patterns. It's a bit more jungly.
Okay.
So think of like Caribbean, craggy outrock, a kind of bit more oppressed, and then a more jungle, deep forest, dense sort of forest area.
And are they latitudinal, like stacked on top of each other, or are they just sprinkled around?
They're kind of like the maps in sort of thirds.
I
so
see.
if you can imagine sort of drawing a line across.
Top third, middle third, lower
I'm moving
third.
my hands now, which I realise is completely
Right.
useless on a podcast. But
Right.
yeah, sort of that one's in the top, one's in the bottom left, one's in the bottom right.
see.
So
Okay.
as you cross the boundaries.
There you go.
And some of the more advanced voyages, the later voyages in the game, will have you traversing different,
Yeah.
much longer voyage.
Yeah. Multiple days.
Multi-day
Multiple
voyage.
days.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Anyway, sorry, Jeff.
No. This is why you're here.
Well, just trying to keep things going.
And just last thing, I wanted to cover quite a few games. Again, we're in that last month and change before Sea of Thieves hits. We got to keep ourselves busy with something.
Yep.
And a couple of games hit. And in fact, one that I think will keep you busy almost up until March 20th, and that would be Kingdom Come Deliverance. This looked pretty interesting. It's a realistic RPG.
See, when you say that title, all I can see in my mind's eye is a royal version of Dueling Banjos.
Yes. Probably not a tie-in with the Deliverance movie from the 70s, which I don't recommend watching unless you never want to forget it. But so anyway, this game I've been hearing that it's like pretty intense and very you're I think it takes place in Bohemia, which is now like modern day like Czech Republic area, something like that. But it's a first-person viewpoint, and so I guess a realistic Skyrim might be a way of looking at it.
Very nice.
But I hear it's pretty detailed, and a lot of the reviews they're like, I can't give a review score because I'm only halfway through. So if you're looking for, this looks like a good value and something I'm hoping I have time to get into. Also, Dynasty Warriors 9 hit this week.
Yep.
Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game, hit this week, and a number of other indie games. And I will just link out to a place where you can find all of those things in one easy place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delightful.
That's
So
it for
many
the
games
news.
to play.
There it's
Time
is
is
the
quiet.
factor.
You got a game to ship. You'll get nothing and like it.
You can play on the plane, and that's it.
And what's awesome as well is even when we ship Sea of Thieves, we're still going to be adding things into.
Yeah, this is this game. That's what I'm saying. The game just is. It's a. I mean, they call it, all the hipsters are calling it games as a service, right?
It's just awesome that you can keep adding and making things to your game when you've got real people playing.
Right.
Like it's great.
Have you had a chance to play anything recently?
Well, we played a little bit of Overwatch.
Not as well as we would have liked.
No, we played. Jeff and I streamed Overwatch yesterday. It's a Lunar New Year, so you're the dog.
It is, or it will be.
By the way,
this
while
weekend.
so I need to look up what I was.
Oh yeah, you should look that up. Yeah, so for those who didn't watch us, and consider yourself fortunate if you didn't, because we ran a strong
Stunk up the
0-4
place.
game. Yeah, but they have, like they did last year, a capture the flag mode for Overwatch, and they had a new map called I won't even try to pronounce it, but it's pretty well done. It's pretty fun, and they actually have a competitive version this year for those who are significantly better than we are. But that will be going on for until I think March 9th, give or take. And as usual, they added a lot of really cool skins, and I haven't pulled any of them out of a box. None of them.
Oh, I ended up buying the Farah skin yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I
So the
needed that
Farah one is very cool.
I needed that one.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people that play Overwatch at Rare. I'm just not good enough. Like whenever I try and play it, I just
You have to find the right character, because I feel like I'm not the person who does like 360 no scopes, but I definitely hold my own in Overwatch, because I find characters that sort of work where I can be more strategic and not more hair trigger. Like Widowmaker, forget about it. I'm not sniping anyone from across the map. But Lucio, I can I can strategically drop the shields or whatever I need to do. So once your game ships, I recommend. Yeah, I am not the type of person to play a game for close to 2 years straight, but that is a game where I feel like we can always go back to. Did you figure out what you are yet?
I can't seem to find it.
Do you know what Chinese zodiac or lunar zodiac you are? What animal? I'm the year the snake, for whatever that's worth.
Like, I think I've just had a flashback to being 11 at school when we did Chinese calendar. I think it's snake.
Well,
77?
I may be the tiger.
You could be the tiger.
I may be the tiger.
All right,
anyway,
that sounds good.
Anyway.
You're the snake. We're good-looking people, very personable, charming, I think. There's probably some other stuff in there, too.
Right.
But,
yeah,
I think it's good.
77?
Yeah?
May.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I know you've got to go.
I do.
We've got to wrap
He's
this
got to
show.
slither on out of here.
Yes.
I'm not sure I like being a snake.
By the way, all of these, we just talked about the year of the snake and the year of the pig. All of these things should be in Sea of Thieves.
There are snakes and pigs in Sea of Thieves. I can confirm that.
And hold on. So the years
You'd have
are
tigers, dragons,
snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, pig, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit.
Was rat last year?
I think so.
No, that was older.
Some of those things are in Sea of Thieves. Not all of them. Shark?
Very good.
Shark?
You're the shark.
You're the shark?
Land shark. All right. We'll let you go, man. Thank you, Craig. Congratulations on everything you guys been doing. Maybe we'll have you on again when the game officially launches next month.
Would love to. Thanks to both of you guys for all the support and coming over to the studio and helping us get the message out there. It's super important.
It's always our pleasure. Jeff, maybe we'll do this again next week or whenever we can get together. And on behalf of Laura and myself, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.